What percent of the world's population is white?
63. 42.
51.
70.
40.
30 or 20?
70.
80.
24%.
70.
20, 30?
43.
24.
20. 30.
80%.
Zero.
What if I told you it was 7%?
7%?
7%.
Only 7%?
Yeah.
No
The
way.
whole world.
Your white people are like top of the world.
7%.
7? What?
7 to 8% is white.
Hang on. That's not true.
It's true.
No, it's not.
It's below 10%.
Nah, that's bull.
Yeah.
Wait,
It's 7.
shit. And I'm about to be a teacher. Don't learn from me, brother.
Taking the piece.
No, it's a real. It's below 10%. Some estimates put it 7 to 8%.
What's this 6 on? I'll show you.
Ozpill.
Yeah, Ozpill. Yeah. Wait, post me, yeah?
Yeah, you'll see.
This is Obadiah 1 and 2. Behold, I have made thee small amongst the heathen. Thou art greatly despised. Kahala Yahweh Ba'Shem Elshai Ba'Shem Rakakwadash, which are the true Hebrew names of the Most High Father. Yahweh, which is Hebrew for He is, and the name of the only begotten Son, the Messiah, which is Yahweh Shai, which is Hebrew for He is salvation, or He delivers. Double honors my teachers, the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and mercy to the elect, with the house of David reborn again in this generation. And shalom to the 1/3 Yasharallah, who today are known as the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, who before losing our true heritage, we were known as, and still are, the true Hebrew Israelites of the Holy Bible. In today's lesson, we're going to talk about the smallness of the nation of Edom. And like you're reading here in this mime, right? And also, as you just watched in the video, the percentage for the amount that the so-called Caucasians or the so-called white people make up is less than 10%. Now, when you ask AI, it tells you that it's about 8%, right? What is right? Tell us, let's check it out. Well, actually, check that out. According to the information I have, the world percentage of white people is estimated to be around 6.5%. This information comes from a Quora article titled, "What is the number of white people in the world?" Now, here's the crazy thing, right? This number, like I said, it's under 10%, like the guy said, because I've seen it, at 8% as well, because I did a little research before making this lesson. Now, when I watched this first video, I thought of the scripture right away, that the Lord was going to ultimately make Esau small amongst the heathen. Now, when he says amongst the heathen, the Lord is talking about the 18 nations that exist on the earth today, which the 193 nations that are recognized by the UN today all go back to. Now, the nation of Edom would be one of those 18 nations, okay? Us Israelites, the Negro, Latino, Native Americans, make up another one of those nations. Now, back to these Edomites. When I say Edom, I'm talking about the so-called Caucasian and Israeli races, okay? This includes the American Caucasian, the English Caucasian, the Australian Caucasian, the Canadian, the South African, the French, the Russian, the Armenian Caucasians, the Turkish Caucasians, all the Edomites that are mingled throughout all the world amongst all these nations. Because believe it or not, there's even Caucasians mixed in with the Japanese, the Egyptians, the Chinese, and so on, right? Just as the nation of Israel, right, the Negro, Latino, Native Americans, just as we are mixed amongst all the other nations of the world, so is Esau, right, or the Edomites, because they are the children of the wicked. That being said, those people who refer to themselves as white people, though they may consider themselves white, they're not actually white people, right? There's no such thing as the term white, right? Like for example, if you ask a lot of Italian people, You know, they sometimes will call themselves white people, but they're not. Okay, they come from a different lineage. Okay, the white people that the Bible talks about, or should I say, you know, the Edomite people are people like the Rothschilds, the Israelis, right? A lot of, you know, like those type of people. Okay, those are the people who are now have been reduced to a menial percentage amongst all the population of the world. And when you go through all the comments here, you know, people are actually you know, figuring this out, that yeah, this is true. And you know, these people, they're surprised by it, and they're talking about they got to do something. Well, there's nothing they can do, and this is because this is biblical that this is happening. And why is it happening? Well, let's read this. This is Proverbs 26 and 27. Whoso diggeth a pit shall fall therein, and he that rolleth a stone, it will return upon him. Now Esau, these Edomites, and their attempt to try to control these other nations and their, you know, breeding or you know, multiplying, they've attempted to bring death to the world. All right, you're looking at one of these devils right here, right? Gloria Steinem, right? It turns out that this bitch was responsible for the feminist movement that got pushed back in the 70s, and you got stupid ass Eve here, right? Our women who fall for these devils' fucking tricks, just like they did back in the Garden of Eden. Okay, they fell for the lie that the serpent has told them, just like, you know, they're doing right now. Right? This is the pivotal picture of this lady, Gloria Steinem, you know, pushing the feminist movement, right? And why did she do this? Did she do this because, you know, she just got up one morning and thought that women should, you know, have a lot more power and no longer be under the patriarchy? No. Let's read this. Feminist icon Gloria Steinem was an anti-communist CIA operative who kept the feminist movement from discussing class, only gender. You see that? So this is a stone which Esau, these Edomites, have rolled to destroy the other nations, right? Namely, you Jakes, you Negro, Latino, Native Americans, to keep you from discussing your place in this world, right? The class that we belong in. And why did they do that? Well, because these devils didn't want to be taken out of power. Okay, if you're too busy fighting amongst yourselves, then you ain't going to be looking up at who's ruling over you. Okay, and that happened for a long time. Right now, instead of you having the different races fighting against each other, now it's men fighting against women, and it's been basically a struggle since then. Just look at the dating scene now. It's freaking a mess, right? People just are not initiating in relationships anymore because it's been too defiled by these Edomite devils. Okay, namely these Amalekites that sit on top, the so-called Jewish people. Now, like that scripture said, right? Whosoever rolleth a stone, it shall roll back upon him, and whosoever diggeth a pit, they shall fall into it. And why do I bring that up? Well, because again, feminism was set up by these Edomites, and guess who is being affected the most by this? Well, it's these own Edomite women, right? They are the ones that have taken this snare, this trap that Esau set up for the other nations, right? Just look at that demon Margaret Sanger, which was like the creator of Planned Parenthood, right? She came out and said that she didn't want it to get out that Planned Parenthood was basically to try to make the so-called Negroes go extinct, right? That they had to trim the flowers in the garden, and they equated the Negro, Latino, Native Americans as weeds. But look at what's happened, right? The Lord, in His righteousness and in His words, it has played out, and this weaponized cultural abomination has now turned back upon Esau's own women. Right? Look at this abominable fucking devil here, man. You always tell by their eyes, man, when people are taken over by demons, right? This woman here is pushing this bullshit, right? Which they ultimately pushed upon our people. Now, again, when you look at the Israelite neighborhoods, Planned Parenthood is a big thing. In fact, this is like the only policy which Kamala Harris is fucking running on, right? They even brought out a bunch of abortion doctors, during her last big old rally and shit, right? They had free abortion trucks outside of the DNC. These people are fucking devils, right? And the funny thing is not only did this, mental weapon, right, this cultural weapon rebound and hit their own people, but it's also being used against themselves by themselves. And what do I mean by that? Well, you have Amalek, which are the so-called Jewish people, the Israelis, basically using this, whole feminism and, abortion rights and all this bullshit against their fellow brethren, right? The so-called normal Caucasians. And what's happening is that now is affecting their entire nation, okay? And that's because, again, this is all prophecy that this plays out.
If dogs could talk, what would they say?
White Caucasian people should accept their extinction, and your over-reliance on in vitro fertilization and your use of birth control pills is really astounding in the world.
This is Jeremiah 49:10. But I have made Esau bare, I have uncovered his secret places, and he shall not be able to hide himself. His seed is spoiled, and his brethren and his neighbors, and he is not. The Lord has destroyed these devils, and they just don't realize it yet. Okay? The Lord is basically getting rid of these Edomites in front of our faces, and it's at such a small and slow rate that it's now to the point where they can't do anything about it, right? They no longer are going to be able to breed that much, and that's because the women, they don't want to have children anymore. This is why a few years back, when Trump was in office, they got rid of the abortion law, right? The Roe v. Wade law, which, by the way, that was a big old hoax, right? When you look at the woman that was behind that, she ended up, I think, having the baby or something, and it was like a lie. The whole premise of that lawsuit was a lie, right? Now, that being said, why did they get rid of it? Well, what I just read, right, is because these Edomites are in a panic mode because that stone that they rolled for these other nations, primarily us Israelites, the Negro Latino Native Americans, that stone has now rolled back upon them, and they're trying to stop their own women from aborting those Edomite babies. But it ain't gonna work because Malachi 1:4. Whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus saith Yahweh Bashim Ashai of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom Yahweh Bashim Ashai hath indignation forever. So these devils ain't going to be able to save themselves, man. This is why these Amalekites, the so-called Jewish people, are even sacrificing their own brethren so that way they could somehow have the dominion and the power to continue on. But it ain't going to work, right? But because, again, the Lord has indignation against them, and ultimately it tells us that the Lord's going to destroy these devils, right? Those that manage to survive the second coming of the Messiah, those Edomites that survive will go right into captivity. That's going to be all the elites, the people who went into these deep underground bunkers. I think that they're going to be able to survive the Armageddon and then emerge and become the rulers of the world that still hasn't been destroyed. Well, that ain't going to happen, because when the Lord comes back, he's ultimately going to destroy all the kingdoms that are around the world and put them into subjection. And then ultimately, the Israelites that he's going to take up, they're going to be given spiritual power. And one of the jobs that the elect are going to have is when we get brought back to Earth, Lord willing, on one of them, we're going to go out throughout the entire world and basically dig up these Edomites that are on these underground bunkers. Okay, because and what are we going to do with them? Well, we're going to put them right into slavery, and they're going to work hard, and they're going to ultimately have children, and those children that come back are going to be the other Edomites that perished in Armageddon, and those babies are going to go right into captivity, right? Just as they made our children, our families go into captivity, they shall go into captivity. So what was good for the goose is good for the gander, right? What what he gave, he's going to get double, according to the Bible. So hopefully this video was edifying, Akim. So just wanted to share this good news. So with all that, I want to give all honor, glory, and praises to Yahweh, B'Hashem Yahshai, B'Hashem Ruach Kodash. Shalom.